some of the faithful rushing to make their way into the square, but yes, things are underway. The body of the Pope Emeritus Benedict XVI is on the stairs in front of St. Peter's Basilica. He has been placed inside a cypress coffin that was done yesterday night in a private ceremony in which there was in attendance his personal secretary as well as household members. Now, this procession that we've seen in the beginning of him being placed there and the rosary being recited, but now Pope Francis will actually begin that unprecedented ceremony. As you mentioned, for the first time in some 200 years or so, a sitting Pope will be presiding over the funeral of his predecessor, Pope Benedict XVI. Now, the body of the Pope was buried together with certain papal items, much in keeping with papal funerals of the past. That includes papal vestments symbolizing his role as Pope. He was also buried together with coins and other medals minted during his pontificate, and even a lead tube that is carrying a decree written in Latin describing the key details of his pontificate and his life. So that's very much in keeping with what is expected in a papal funeral. Now, once the service begins and Pope Francis will be reciting the homily and following the liturgy, as we know, it follows most papal funerals with just some slight modifications. We do understand that there will be certain petitions made to God for both Pope Francis as well as Benedict XVI. So there's some difference there. And finally, when the service is ended, that cypress coffin will be brought back into St. Peter's Basilica, placed inside a zinc coffin and then a separate wooden box, again similar to other papal funerals. And he will then be entombed in a crypt underneath St. Peter's Basilica. Now, Pope Benedict had requested that he be placed in the same tomb that was used by John Paul II, the then Pope, in 2005 when he was buried. He has since been removed and placed above in the Basilica once he was made saint. And so Pope Benedict, as requested, will be placed in that same tomb.
And it looks like some of the fog is being lifted over the square there. We've got a clearer picture of what's happening. So as that continues, as you mentioned, this ceremony is going to be quite exceptional. You know that well because you did cover John Paul II's funeral in 2005. So what can we expect to see this time around?
Well, in that funeral back in 2005, the last papal funeral, we saw some 300,000 guests, prime ministers, presidents and kings. This time round, there are only two official delegations, that of Italy and Benedict's native Germany. Other heads of state can attend in a private capacity. We do know that there are some presidents as well as the monarchs of Spain and Belgium attending, but they're doing so in the private capacity. Most countries are being represented by their ambassadors to the Holy See. Now, that's very much in keeping with what Benedict himself requested. Vatican officials have informed us that they expect this ceremony to be a solemn and simple affair. And so let's not forget, this was not a sitting pope. This was a pope that made that unprecedented decision to step down because of his advanced age. He was living inside a monastery in the Vatican itself. We did have this situation of two popes inside the Vatican, but now very much the sitting pope laying the previous pope to rest in this ceremony here at St. Peter's Square.